this will be recorded and sent out after the fact. So if you guys have to leave early at all, if you have anything, any other calls or meetings, this will be emailed out. I think John's going to try and get it out tonight. He's usually super quick with that. So we'll have that out soon. And then anyone, of course, who isn't here, you might be watching this recording because you got it after if you had to miss it. So you'll have that with some good links in there. Trying to think. And if you guys have any questions at all as we go through everything, feel free to throw those into the chat. I think there's a question box. Throw anything that you guys are curious about in there because we will do a little Q&A at the very end. But, we might hit some of them as we go through as well. We'll give it just a sec for anyone else to trickle in. I don't imagine this will go the full hour, spoiler. So we'll give you a little bit of extra time back to go work on some other stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hopefully as I do this, the slide changes. Nailed it. Okay. And change for you, right, Macy?
Hopefully. Yes, we're good to go.
Okay. Perfect. Well, we can start diving into just a little bit, at least with some intros. I'm Jana. I'm the business development manager here. You probably have seen me and John do a couple of these before. John Henson, our editorial director, he's out today. But I'm not mad because now we get the incredible Macy to help me out, which don't tell me it's probably a step up. So, go ahead, Macy. I'll just tell me about yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. My name's Macy. I'm an account manager here at Spotlight Branding. A few of you may be our clients and are hopping on and may have worked with me before, but if not, I, in short, pretty much just work with all of our clients and accounts and make sure that everything is running smoothly and they get all of their content as needed.
Love it.
That's it.
She's gonna have some really great, I think, insights as far as doing this on the regular, on the day-to-day for so many of her clients. So I think you'll have some really good nuggets to share, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say too. But we do have a few additional resources you guys are welcome to check out. We have so many free resources that are available for download on our website. You can become a Spotlight Insider, which is kind of our new thing that we're doing. And then we have our 2 podcasts, the Law Firm Marketing Minute, which is specifically legal, and then the Center Stage, which is more of an interview style for really professional firms at all. But those are all on our website and all over our socials as well, and our newsletter if you're following any of that. But today, oh, no, spoiler. Oh my gosh, John, we jumped right into it. Well, spoiler, today we were talking about top marketing strategies for 2023. You guys already saw number 1, so we'll go back to it. Speaking of socials, but this is all about, some things that you guys can implement, what we think are some of the top priorities when it comes to marketing for your firm here in this year, now that we're already in 2023. So this is number 1 here. Again, feel free to throw in any questions along the way, but let's get rolling. I think this one's me, right? I'm starting with social, right, Macy?
Yep, you got it.
Forgive us if we, flutter through this. But number 1, socials. Getting out and, going out to like a brewery or something is also one way to be social, which is probably my favorite way. But social media is another really great one. We have, as of, mid last year, we hired Smike, who some of you guys have probably seen if you're on any of our social medias. He has been doing phenomenal, just putting out tons of content on all of our platforms. Ones that I'd say we recommend are Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google My Business, Instagram, even TikTok. I know Pinterest still has some really good options, and there are probably some I've never even heard of that would be great to be on as well. But just being a part of that narrative, a part of the space that your audience already exists on is kind of crucial to just make sure that you're part of what they're seeing every day when they're scrolling through that feed. So if you're not already on social media, or if you were on social media and last posted in like 2017, it might be time to revisit.
Yes. And, jumping off of that, Jana, too, it's not only important to have a social media presence as far as you have a profile and you post to it, which is great. And that creates consistent touch points with your audience, but it's also really crucial to engage with your audience. So respond back to comments, messages, and also interact with other accounts. The lovely algorithms on a lot of social media platforms these days have really changed, and this kind of helps you compete and really hang in there when it comes to organic engagement and really just going a step further as far as touch points go and really, taking it to the next level to build relationships.
Excellent point. Yes, that engagement is definitely huge. So thank you for mentioning that. Number 2, if we're taking notes or screenshotting, y'all can screenshot this if you want.
Yeah. I think number 2 on our list is, lights, camera, action, or if you will, video content. So I think that, this day and age, a lot of people consume content in a different way. A lot of times in the past, things were heavily written, which is still the case. Blogs and different forms of content or written forms of content, are definitely still really popular. But we now have this avenue that kind of allows people to break down barriers and get to know you on a more personal level. And yeah, about 44% of marketers actually use their iPhone when creating video content, which I always tell my clients that's totally fine to do. You want this to be kind of a more laid back way to connect with your audience. You can obviously still have really professional video FAQs, but this kind of allows you to connect in a really accessible way. Most people have phones or at least smartphones, and it really kind of levels up the game and meets your audience where they're at as far as, content, the way they consume content. So
absolutely. I know we use our personal phones for a lot of the content that we create here. Our TikTok lives are always just using like an iPhone. And especially that last one there, 96% of people using video to learn about a product or service. I'm in the camp that my TikTok algorithm knows me to a T because I'm constantly scrolling because I enjoy seeing video as opposed to necessarily reading about something. And I think a lot of people are in that same avenue. We want to see that short little, video snippet instead of reading, content all the time. Now, of course, there is certainly a benefit to the content, which we'll talk about, but I think video is just, it's grown so much over the last few years. And I see that trajectory continuing if I had to guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it plays a lot into, the first point that we make with social media. Platforms are definitely getting a lot more video friendly. So I think we're only going to see trends more towards people leaning into video content as a means to really engage with their audience.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump into number 3, which is launching a podcast. So as some of y'all who have been following us for a while may know that John Henson is our podcast guru. He has 2 here for Spotlight Branding, the Law Firm Marketing Minute and Center Stage that I mentioned, but he also has his own personal one, which I'll give him a shameless plug. It's Our Weird World, and it's super John Henson if you've ever met him. But it's a lot easier than you would think. It seems like a daunting task, right? The idea of creating this podcast and, having the time to dedicate to it as well, which is, I'm sure, not something you guys all have an abundance of. But getting it started, and I think time blocking, and doing batches of episodes as opposed to making yourself do one every single week is usually, what we've seen to be one of the better ways to go about doing that. And I know we have some clients even, and Macy, you might can speak to this even more. But what they'll do is have this call once every few months, and it's a video call that is recorded. And I think you kind of facilitate, this conversation that can then be turned into podcast episodes by then extracting that audio, which I think is so cool. So yeah, I'll let you elaborate a bit on that and what you've seen work well for podcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely that's an option that we offer to our clients. I think it really depends on preference as far as how comfortable you are. Some people prefer to record on their own and kind of do it at their own pace. But a lot of people, the idea of creating a podcast and creating episodes is really daunting to them. So this is a time for us to get on the phone with them, talk them through what that's going to look like, really ease their nerves, and then also just get a bunch of content at one time. To be putting out content regularly, you don't realize that you can kind of batch create that, especially when it comes to video or audio content. So for podcasting, this is really great. And then we also handle the post editing and stuff for our clients. So that, takes something else on their plate. So takes something else off of their plate. Sorry, not adding it to their plate. So that's kind of how we kind of help move them through that process. But obviously, it's really easy to do it as well individually. There's a lot of great platforms, and it's a really fast way to engage with your audience and to kind of tell more of a story than if you were to just be writing something.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, a lot of times people may be hesitant to do a podcast because they want it to sound very, professional and not have any sort of those little ums and uhs. But I think that honestly adds to the organicness. It makes it seem like they're actually hearing from a person and not just somebody who's reading off a script, which I think is huge when you're in the sort of relationship that you might be in whenever you're hiring an attorney or like a financial advisor. I think you want to know that it's someone who you can trust and you have that level of like personableness with versus just someone reading off a teleprompter.
Totally agree. And that's actually one of the main talking points that we explain to our clients when, talking through the benefits. And then also that's something that people have a lot of hesitations around. And you're completely right there, Jenna. Like this is supposed to be, while it is a professional way to get content out to your audience, it's also supposed to be a really personal and it does not need to be perfect by any means.
Absolutely not. And I know some of ours that we put out aren't. If you ever listen to any of them, they, have those little moments. And I think it's not bad by any means. But let's go ahead and scoot on to number 4, which is live in your audience's inbox. I'll let you take this one.
Yes. Yeah. I love this one. I feel like this is a conversation we have a lot with our current clients. And many people believe that email marketing is dead, and that is just simply not the case. I think, with our e-newsletter service that we provide to our clients, they are sending out, I like to kind of describe an e-newsletter as kind of a catch-all piece. So within that, you typically include all of the other content, or at least some of the other content that you're creating on a monthly basis. So monthly video, your monthly blog, a snippet, a quote from your social media. You have an intro section where you can talk about what's going on at the firm. So this is really a piece that kind of brings all of those together, and then it delivers it straight to your audience's inbox. So it's so simple. And with that, the hope is always that people will open and read your e-newsletter or any sort of like e-blast to their inbox. But at the same time, if they're not, your name is still popping up in their inbox, on a consistent basis. So that helps create top of mind awareness and really, think about if you were to need an attorney for something and, you were like, man, I don't know who in the world to use, but someone, an attorney who has been really honing in on their email marketing and been sending a ton of e-newsletters, their name's been in your inbox. So you're thinking, oh, I know someone, I've heard from them. Mm-hmm. So it kind of creates this pattern that is almost subconscious with your audience. And that's just another added benefit as well. And it's really actually easy to get your email contacts. It seems really, daunting, but, think about your friends, your family, other professionals in your network, colleagues you worked with in the past, maybe even competitors who, are attorneys or financial advisors, but they specialize in a different area than you do. These are all people to include on that, and really just kind of keep them up to date with what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. I think that a lot of times you have a lot more contacts than you realize that could be on this list. I think there are a few ways to kind of go about accumulating what that starting list looks like. But as you think about it more and you do add in all your friends and family and those other centers of influence and strategic relationships, it accumulates pretty quickly. But the one that I will say, and I probably used this example before, is just that, I personally have had to hire a couple attorneys before. One, when I was like closing on my house, so I needed my real estate attorney. He did phenomenal. But right now, I could not tell you his name if my life depended on it, because I have not heard from him since. But he was wonderful. He did great, super pleasant. Conversely, I also had to hire an attorney for one of my speeding tickets, which we also did a webinar on a couple of years ago, which is, But guess what? I remember exactly who he is because he'll stay in touch with me. Once in a while, I'll see cool little tidbits that come from him, cool little, nuggets about, what to do if you get pulled over. What should you say? What should you maybe not say? Which are all helpful. Hopefully I don't get any more, but, I've got some really good information from continuing to be on his list. And if, Macy ends up getting a ticket, I'm really not knock on wood, hope you don't, but I know exactly who.
Yeah, don't put that juju on me, Jenna.
I'm not trying to throw it out, but if someone else in the office, we'll say that, if someone else gets caught on 485, then I know exactly who I'm going to be referring them to because he did a great job and I remember his name. So that's, one, personal example of why I think this is so valuable and one that I've seen, in real life, real time. So I'm sure we'll have some more about email. A lot of these, as you'll probably see, tie in together. But number 5, all about networking. And so this one, it really does feed in because I think as you do any sort of networking, whether it's with your like local BNI chapter, different, attorney, like coaching organizations, chamber of commerce meetings, whatever it is, making sure that you are getting business cards and contact info for these relationships that you're facilitating, and then adding them to that newsletter list, getting them plugged into your, ongoing touch points in marketing is paramount. So making them cool, but making sure they're still hearing from you now and again is very important. But I think networking is such a foundational piece. I think everyone knows the importance of networking, but a lot of times it takes a back burner to some of the more pressing, work-related things like client calls and emails and, doing the actual, stuff with your firm. Sometimes, a lot of times takes precedent over going to that networking event or going and getting lunch with, those different strategic partnerships. But it is such a valuable tool that needs to be put at the forefront, at least here and there.
Absolutely. And I think not only sometimes does networking get put on the back burner because of the things you mentioned, Jana, but networking is also, it is a piece of the marketing puzzle, but it's not one that's as easily measured. So, I mean, here we track referrals, and that's a big way for us to measure how our networking is going and things that we're doing. But, going to lunch with people or going to an event, sometimes that's hard to see the impact that it's having on your business. People don't prioritize it, which is totally just, something that they're ignoring, and they're actually, I think, losing business because they're not prioritizing that. But just because it's not necessarily like, oh, I can look at my open rate on my email, it's still something that definitely needs to be a piece of your marketing plan for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, number 6. Here we go. We're on to number 6 already, which is nurturing. I'll let you kind of lead this one off.
Absolutely. So whether this is with just, lead generation, your current clientele or, previous clients, it's always important when you are interacting with someone that you don't really forget about them. So if you pay a lot of money, let's say for leads that you are hoping to work with, or you've worked really hard for your marketing to get, with your marketing to get these leads, but then you're not doing anything once you have them, you're kind of just losing this whole chunk of business that could be individuals that really want to engage within your network and work with you. So I think the idea of not only attaining those leads, clients, or past clients, but also keeping them, that's half the battle. And I think to nurture your audience, you can do all the things we've mentioned. You can network, you can, stay in their inbox, you can connect with them on social media. So I think that's where all the other pieces kind of fall into this. But it's the idea of, okay, you've gotten the catch. Now, like, what are you going to do to keep them? So.
Mm-hmm. I think you hit the nail on the head. In my role, I talk to people about marketing all day, every day, really. And a lot of times I'll hear, how much they've spent on obtaining the leads, whether it's through pay-per-click or social media ads or SEO efforts, or even buying lists. But then we'll talk about, what they're doing to stay in touch with them. And it's essentially nothing. And it's like, you're spending so much and you're doing so much of that like work to accumulate them. And just not staying in touch with them is just detrimental, honestly. So I think making sure that you are continuously providing them valuable, helpful, like educational, relevant content, like even just like the traffic ticket guy, like I'm still getting emails that are kind of helpful in case I'm in that situation again. And it's not just something that it was only helpful for that one point in my time in my life. But I think it's huge because someone who is coming into your, your system, into your kind of world, may not be in need at that exact moment of the services that you offer. But whenever that time arises, you want to be at the front of their mind through nurturing efforts.
Absolutely.
Let's go on into number 7, which is popping up. There you go. Providing value to your audience. And so this kind of goes along with it. You don't want to nurture people just by saying, "Hey, I'm the attorney. Hire me. I'm great at what I do." It is me. Give me your money dollars and let's work together. That's not helping anybody. So giving them something that is relevant to what you do, something that is going to be helpful for them. That's not just, we love to joke about grandma's cookie recipe in your newsletter every month. Like that's not helpful. That doesn't remind them who you are and what you do. Sure, they'll have snickerdoodles for Christmas, but are they going to actually call you when the time comes? Probably not. So we love the idea of these free resources like worksheets and infographics and blogs, videos, these different pieces that can be valuable, that still will, be in people's inbox and potentially even be a lead generation tool. We promote a lot of those on our website, and you've probably noticed that even to register for this webinar, you put in your email, you guys got the link to join, but also, if there's, you guys are probably going to get more emails from us. Like I'm going to send you the recording after, you'll probably get some more, being transparent. Spoiler. But I think that it's a great way to do both. It's give value and also generate some of those leads too.
Totally agree. I think, you just want to provide balance in anything that you do, but most importantly, you want what you're providing your audience to be relevant to them. So I think, I don't have anything else to add, Jen. I think you absolutely crushed that.
Nailed it. Thank you. I love validation. We appreciate you. Well, here's number 8, which I'll let you dive into just a little bit, Macy.
Yeah, publishing a book. So I have zero experience with this, to be fully transparent. I'm not a big book reader. Writing's not really my thing, especially in the long form. But I think that publishing a book is huge. It's, helps to boost your credibility. It also allows you to really dive into kind of the nitty-gritty area of things that sometimes shorter form content doesn't allow you. So blogs, you want them to be kind of shorter. Social media, you can't really get super in depth, but a book, heck yeah, write about it all day long. So I think, this is your place to really give every detail that you want regarding a service you're offering or a problem that, your client or a potential client might be facing. But at the end of the day, it also just really shows that you care about what you're discussing. So, it pivots you as the expert, lets you kind of break things down in depth, but then also, who is going to write about something that they don't care about? So it also, shows your audience that you're really passionate about what you do. And for me, I not only want to work with people who are knowledgeable, but I also want to work with people who are passionate. So I think this opportunity kind of nails down everything that, I would look for in regards to a professional looking for, or as someone who's looking for a professional regarding a service. So.
Oh, I love that. Work with people who are passionate and knowledgeable about what they do. That's a good one. I agree with all of that. I think it's such a huge credibility booster too. We joke about how John I think he's up to like 23 books or something. And he may not know a lick about anything that he's writing about, but I sure think that he does. If I am questioning like serial killing, they're all about like serial killers and stuff, or like the history of North Carolina, I know I can go ask him, and he actually does know a lot about it. But having that even just sitting in your like lobby, in your waiting area, and it's a book that you publish, maybe having it like, displayed, that's huge for people who are walking in. They'll be like, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. Again, a digital copy could also be a great lead magnet online. That's another huge way to, get people invested and also just give them this little tidbit of, I know what I'm talking about. I want you to know what I'm talking about. And like you said, they're passionate about it too. And as far as the ease, I know there are tons of publishers out there that will pretty cost efficiently to print out some physical copies that you can have. And it's a pretty easy process and inexpensive to actually get some of those printed out too, which is nice. Yeah. Let's go on to number 9, which is providing a stellar user experience. So I think for this one, your website is one of the very first places a lot of people are really going to see information about you. So having a website that is easy to navigate, that is user friendly, mobile responsive, and clearly directs someone where they should start their kind of journey as they're learning more about you, and gives them clear next steps. It's huge. That's mission critical. And I also think offline as well, having like a receptionist or an intake person who is really that front line for people who are first maybe calling into the firm, having them be pleasant, be knowledgeable, be polite, get their contact information. I have so many stories because I do, I make a lot of calls. And so I'm talking to a lot of receptionists or intake people. And now I can kind of tell if it's an outsourced company or if it's someone in house, but I've had amazing experiences. And I've had some not good at all experiences. And so I think you don't want to spend all the money to accumulate leads, to nurture them, finally have them reach out, and then have your receptionist be terrible, be in a grumpy mood, or not get their information when they call, and all of that's for naught. That's my little spiel on the user experience.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that, the user experience is something that needs to be consistent across the board. So it definitely yes, you want it, your social media to be easy to navigate, your website, but you also, your experience with intake people, receptionists, it just needs to be something that you consistently are good at, because this is truly the first point of contact that most individuals have with you and with your business. And you only get to do that once, and you can't go back and redo it. So you want to make sure the first impression is a really good one.
Mm-hmm. We have a few core values internally for Spotlight Branding, and one of them is that presentation matters. So even at your office, making sure that it's not super cluttered in the waiting area, that it is visually just a place that people would want to come in to see you in person is also another component. So make sure that you are putting the presentation at the forefront of anything you do, whether it's online or offline. My little pitch there for that. But let's go on into our grand finale, number 10, which is delegation.
Yes. Last but not least, I love this one. I think that overall, to break it down, regardless of whatever industry you're in, you cannot be the best person, professional, attorney, financial advisor, accountant. You cannot be the best version of yourself if you are not prioritizing your time and what you've got to work on. So we've actually talked a lot about this here at Spotlight Branding, that if it's something, and Jana and I were actually having a conversation about it earlier, but if it's something that someone can do to, 80% to the same like standard that you could do it, delegate it. There is not enough time in the day to necessarily do everything that you want to do and everything that's on your list. So find what's most important to you, what's mission critical to your job, and then also make sure that you have a support system and people that you work with that you trust and can also hand things off to, knowing that they're going to get done and knowing that there's not going to be any hiccups. This will save you as far as mental sanity goes as a professional, but also will make you better at your job because you actually are prioritizing your clients and have the time and space to offer them, whereas you might have less of that if you were taking on a lot of busy work that you could be giving to someone else.
Yes, I think that kind of stat that you mentioned, the 80%, is huge, because no one is going to be able to write in your voice as well as you can, or be able to answer the phone and say exactly what you would say. But if someone can do it almost as good as you can do it, or almost as well, let them do that, because it's not the best use of your time. Especially if you have aspirations of growing, knowing that you're going to have team members that can do certain aspects of that is huge. Yes, you can train them up. You can, give them all the tools that you can to succeed, but actually giving it to them is the most important part. And I say that as a control freak, as someone who struggles to delegate. I very much so, like doing it my way. I know it'll get done correctly. But even just, I know I've been able to delegate some things, and it has just freed up not only my task list, but my mental capacity, which is a lot of times a lot more freeing, to just free up the mental capacity, not even just your physical task list. So Absolutely. It's been a huge one. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're here at the half or the 2:30 mark Eastern, but that is, that's really it. Those are the 10 areas there. Obviously, when it comes to delegation, we are a content marketing company. We do have a lot of clients that delegate a lot of this to us, and we are happy to talk with you about how we can help you with some of those aspects. You're welcome to click on the link. Actually, I'll paste that in the chat there, so you guys can just have that link. But yes, we are happy to help with that. Macy is one of our account managers as well, so she does this. She has people delegate and stuff like this to her all the time. Let me throw that link in there. As I'm throwing that link in there, if anyone has any questions at all, you guys are welcome to throw them into the chat or the questions, and we'll hang on for a little bit for any of those. I think I even have there we go. Questions? Question marks? There you go. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. He said, thanks, nice job. I like to think so. I like to think it was solid.
Thank you.
And you know what? You guys have an extra 30 minutes if you had blocked out an hour to, think about how you can delegate, how you can set up some time to network, how you can, get some extra content going out there. Branding.com/schedule.
I see. Yes, I see a question about the e-newsletter. So SP asks, what if I don't have a lot of contacts to send my e-newsletter to? Is it still worth to have an e-newsletter? So yes, absolutely. And this is something that I've seen a lot with clients that I've worked with, is that they have, a lot of people don't necessarily collect emails and really continue to build their email list. So I think you can totally start small. Think, I always send a list to my clients of those individuals that we mentioned, friends, family, former clients, other professionals, just people like that. So that's where you can start, and it can be small. And then the nice thing about that is, you can build on that every single month. So we have a lot of clients who their process is, on a certain day every month, they will send us those new emails that they have from that month. So if that's someone that has engaged with the firm on their website, called, anything like that. So it's definitely something that you can build upon. And yes, it is absolutely worth still having an e-newsletter, because you're not limited as far as contacts go. So you may start small, but that doesn't mean that you can't grow to have a really great audience. So I wouldn't let that, deter you from looking at an e-newsletter service. And if you have any questions, regarding that, I'm sure Jana would be happy to hop on the phone with you and talk with you more about it as well.
I would. And I mean, it only takes one. I mean, obviously you'd love more than one, but I mean, if that right person's on there, that's what matters. And I've even heard of, there are ways within like most of the email platforms that people commonly use that you can export a list of everyone that you've corresponded with. Now, I will admit that might take a little bit of weeding through in order to have that list ready for, sending it all out. But that's a great place to start if you're looking for just a big jumping off point in terms of contacts. It'd be a good starting place.
Nice thing too, kind of going off that, Jana, this gets a little more technical, I guess, but MailChimp, the platform that we use for setting up accounts and sending our clients e-newsletters, it actually has the option to like weed out duplicates. So that helps a lot with cutting down lists when you start out. And then, every single time you add a new batch, you can also have it auto update. So you don't have to worry about keeping your list up to date, as long as you are just worrying about getting those emails. That takes a piece of the puzzle out. And also a lot of CRM softwares will actually allow you to export individuals from there. So that makes it easy too.
Very true. Yeah, that's a great one. But yes, thank you for your question. I hope that seemed to answer there for you. And if there are any questions that you think of afterwards, or if you're watching this on the recording, if you want to send an email, you can send it to me, Jana, Jana, @spotlightbranding.com. I'm happy to, answer those for you. Again, we can happily set up a time to talk further through the scheduling link in there. And we'll probably throw a few links into the email that you'll get with this one later tonight. Oh, do we have another one? Maybe. How to make the newsletter primary. When you say primary, what do you mean by primary? And if you know, Macy, let me know. But curious, I'm reading.
I believe they might be referring to within an inbox, like in Google on the Gmail app, there's like your primary folder. So to not go to the promotions, So typically, the nice thing is that usually refers to the email address that it's being sent from. So your inbox or your server for someone's email actually will flag an email as a promotion or spam based on the historical data from the email address that has been sent from. So to help with this, a lot of our clients have an email address that's maybe it's info at the firm's domain, but that they use only for like website form submissions and for sending their e-newsletter to help make sure that their the deliverability of their e-newsletter is higher and that it's actually going to someone's inbox and not their spam.
You nailed that. Yeah, it's a very good point. That makes a lot of sense now that you mentioned that. Primary. Cool. And I hope that helps to answer it for you, Karis. And then Vanessa, we have tried doing a newsletter last year. A few people unsubscribe. Oh, I definitely understand that. I will say when it comes to unsubscribes, that's going to happen regardless. You could be sending an email that says, I will literally give you a free car if you click this link, and someone's still going to unsubscribe. And you could be serious. But like you could email something amazing and the most valuable piece ever, and there's still going to be somebody that's going to unsubscribe. But if creating content that people do want to see, I think it's all about something relevant to your area of practice. So Vanessa, I'm not sure your specific area that you focus on. But I think we love the idea of, tips for this scenario or, frequently asked questions. I think that those are a lot more interesting and engaging and valuable for people as opposed to something that's self-promotional. Hi, I'm an attorney. You want to just go ahead and hire me. Go ahead and just give me a call. So Macy, I don't know if you have any thoughts as well on what may be, makes people gravitate towards it.
Yeah, I mean, I would also start off by echoing, you're always going to have people that unsubscribe. There are just going to be individuals who get so many emails in their inbox that they don't need any more added. And I tell my clients, try not to take that personally. That's just a reflection of what they've got going on and what their current capacity looks like. But Jenna said it best. You really just should focus on what's going to be most applicable. And, in an intake call with our clients, when, they've just signed up and we're onboarding them, we always like to ask them, what is the biggest issue that your potential client or someone in your audience is facing? So that can be either emotional or like a tangible issue. And then, okay, what is content that we can provide that addresses those? So either provides resources, answers, next steps on how to take action. So that is, I think, the mindset that you should come from when offering advice or offering content, anything to your audience. So that I think that definitely should be the focus. But I wouldn't think too heavily about those small few. I know you said it was just a handful that unsubscribed, because that's always going to be the case, unfortunately.
We get plenty internally as someone who is aware of our email newsletter. Yep. We have them every single email we send out. And the amount of people that have unsubscribed, but then will opt back in and kind of be interested later on is pretty high as well. So don't let it discourage you. And don't take it personally. I say as someone who takes things very personally, try not to let it. Yes. But no, that's a great question. Absolutely. Well, if you guys have any more, we'll stay on for just a couple more minutes. But yes, feel free to send us any others that you think of. And of course, we have our website form. So if you guys forgot my email or spell my name or something, you can just throw it on the contact form there on our website as well. But this was so much fun. I really enjoyed, getting to start the year off with our first webinar of the year and having Macy on here as well. John's we're gonna kick him off from now on. Just be me and Macy.
Hey, I'd love it. We can add it to my list. No, I'm just kidding. It's been fun. I feel like, Jana, you have a really great perspective as far as the business side of things. So how this can work in terms of marketing your firm. And then I think, it's as someone who does a lot of the execution side and strategy, talking with clients, I think it's nice to have both perspectives. So I really enjoyed getting to hear all the info.
I agree. Well, I had a blast, and we'll let you guys get going. You still at least have 20 minutes to go work on some of these pieces if you stayed for the Q&A portion. But hopefully we will see you guys whenever we do our next webinar, which you'll get emails about as we decide when it is, because now there you go. So that's how it works. So can't wait to see you guys hopefully again soon. And we'll talk to y'all later.
Bye, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Bye.
We'll stop there.